Please disconnect the power and remove the battery prior to doing any internal work on a laptop. In this video, we will be replacing an LCD screen on a Hewlett-Packard tablet PC. There is a lot of confusion regarding this particular model as to what LCD panel is fitted on this laptop and how it handles the touch functionality. Let us assure you, the LCD panel is a 100% standard LCD screen with extra components mounted to it during the assembly. This video will show you exactly how the touch features work, as well as will demonstrate how to salvage all working components during the LCD removal and reinstallation. Go ahead and remove the rubber screw covers on the front of the bezel. There are 4 round covers on the outer corners and 4 square covers on the inner lining. Then go ahead and remove the 8 uncovered screws. Those should all be equal length. At this point, the bezel can be removed. Start on the outer edge of the left side and use extra caution. There are a lot more parts here to break than in a typical laptop. Gradually move around the perimeter of the bezel, pulling from the outer and inner edges and trying to apply force equally. The bezel snaps out fairly easy, but don't go too fast. Putting extra strain on the plastic tabs will damage them. Once the bezel is free, don't yank it off right away. Instead, swing it out to the left to properly disconnect the fingerprint security reader. Then remove the single inverter screw. Then disconnect the inverter from the laptop. Then from the screen. Remove 2 screws holding the auxiliary buttons panel to gain access to one of the LCD frame screws. You can leave the auxiliary buttons panel hanging. Remove 4 frame screws. Make sure to hold the screen in place on the last screw. Carefully lean the screen forward to expose the connections behind it. Turn the laptop to get better access and disconnect the digitizer cable from the back cover hub. Then peel off the video cable tape and gently disconnect the video cable. Place the screen on the keyboard and remove the right side frame rail. Turn the laptop and remove the left side rail. Even if it doesn't look like it, this is a typical LCD panel. The only difference you can see is the Wacom digitizer layer, sandwiched to the very back of the LCD panel. The digitizer still works, and it is highly recommended to salvage it for reuse. Start by removing all visible tape securing the digitizer in place. Once the LCD driver circuit is loose, the digitizer can be removed. It is secured with regular tape on the bottom edge and double sticky tape on the left and right edges. The digitizer is fairly fragile, so try not to rip it with sudden motion. Rather help to separate the glue with your finger. Discard your old panel. If the new screen doesn't appear to have any protective film, line the keyboard with a cloth or a paper towel. Place the new screen on the keyboard and get it prepared to install the salvaged digitizer. Typically, there will be 2 tiny screws securing the LCD driver circuit. Those need to be removed. As well, this particular LCD driver is covered with protective plastic, which we will leave in place, but would still have to separate the edge to get under the circuit. Use a pick or a flat screwdriver to carefully separate the glue. Now that the LCD driver circuit is free, the digitizer can be installed. Slide the digitizer in place. The easy way to tell the correct position are the model stickers on the LCD screen and the digitizers, both of which should be upright. Secure the LCD driver board with tape. Then make sure to bend out the protective film tabs from the LCD panel before securing the digitizer. Flip the screen over and remove the protective film. On this laptop, there are essentially two technologies used to implement the touchscreen feature. The Wacom digitizer, which uses electromagnetic resonance to be used together with a specialized stylus, and a resistive touch panel, which can detect touch from a finger or a standard stylus. The resistive touch panel comes in the form of a glass screen protector, which is not part of the LCD panel, and is sandwiched on top of the screen. It needs to be ordered separately and is incidentally the most common breaking part on this laptop. Place the glass panel on top of the adhesive, which needs to be applied around the LCD panel frame, and mind the position of the sensor lead. It needs to align with the socket on the back of the screen. Flip the entire screen over and connect the sensor lead. It plugs into a standard locking connector, which needs to be open for connecting, and then locked with a screwdriver. Reinstall the left side rail, flip, then right side rail. Then secure the inverter cable with tape. Here's an installation trick we've used in our IBM T60 video. In order to make the video cable connection easier, place the screen facing down in the back cover and curl the video connector before hooking it up. Reconnect the video cable and secure the tape. Then simply flip the panel with the direction of the curl and align with the bottom edge. Then reconnect the digitizer cable to the back cover hub, and then align the screen back into position. Secure the screen with 4 LCD frame screws, then reconnect the inverter to the screen, then to the laptop power. Secure the inverter screw. At this point, it is safe to test out the screen and the touchscreen components. Reconnect the power cord, but don't plug in the battery. Once you boot into Windows, and provided that the screen is working properly, you will need to test and calibrate both of the touchscreen devices. In this case, we are more interested in the resistive touch panel, since it was fully replaced, whereas the digitizer was simply salvaged. Go to Start menu and search for Calibrate. Let you calibrate either of the touchscreen input devices. We're going to calibrate the touch input to see if the glass touch panel is properly aligned and installed. Windows will take you through the calibration wizard, which will display a few crosshairs, which finger, or in this case my screwdriver. Since the calibration wizard can dynamically adjust the virtual position of the pointer in relation to the stylus, you do not need to worry about the millimeter mistakes in the positioning of the glass panel during installation. Just make sure the panel sits approximately straight on the LCD frame. Shut the computer down by clicking Shut Down from the Start menu. Always wait for the computer to power off fully before disconnecting the power. Reinstall and secure the auxiliary buttons board with 2 screws, then go ahead and begin reinstalling the bezel. Start from the left side by reconnecting the fingerprint security reader, then swing the bezel into position, and applying even pressure on both sides and around the perimeter of the display assembly, snap in the bezel back into place. Mind any protruding cables, and snap evenly across the inner and outer edge as both have locking tabs underneath. Reinstall 8 bezel screws. Start from the inner 4, then move to the outer corners. Then reinstall the rubber screw covers in appropriate positions. Then visually make sure the bezel is flush on all edges, and replace the battery, then reconnect the power, and you're done.